Nuh-uh.
Yes.
Welcome back to Team Kast. This is your host. Good luck, Chuck. We're back at it again with another episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share all your social media platforms. Man, so we see that things turned up a little bit here in training camp lately. As we prepare to go up against the Washington Commanders for our next preseason matchup. But before we get to all that, I'd like to introduce the panel. Top right hand of the screen is my guy Country. Bottom right hand of the screen is our homegirl Kylie. And we got a special guest here. He calls himself washed up when it comes to analyzing film for the Chiefs. He's from Arrowhead Live. We'd like to welcome Caleb James to this episode of Kingdom Cast. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. What about y'all?
So great, brother. Can't complain.
That's real good, man.
So yeah, man. Let's get to it, man. Let's get to the spiciness real quick. We don't really get much of that here from the Kingdom. So let's go ahead and talk about it real quick. These guys saw yesterday. Patrick Mahomes and Rashad Fenton had a competitive moment along with Travis Kelce. They was going back and forth, exchanging words. Patrick saying that Rashad was holding every play. I'm saying the G-rated version currently, but yeah, he's holding every effing play. And Rashad was going back and forth with him and stuff. So I mean, I just looked at it as guys, making each other better, and that's why I named this episode "Competitive Pricks" because that was a competitive prick moment between like three guys. So that's something that we need in training camp. Like, need guys, going back and forth, being competitive, talking a little trash, just trying to make each other better and stuff. So I'm going around the room, man. I mean, what you guys think when you guys saw the clips?
I like that energy. I like it. You need that. You know what I'm saying? Just get the juices flowing. Be competitive. Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. So if you can get him to get fired up, that sounds good to everybody on the team. Like, that sounds like a good thing, not a bad thing. And Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. So you get him chirping and get him off this game maybe a little bit, it brings that fire. And the next day, today, I think he went in sitting like all game. You know what I'm saying? So that makes him better. Still sharp and still. You know what I'm saying? I don't want punk cornerbacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, a cornerback, you're supposed to have a little diva in you. You're supposed to have a little narcissism in you. You know what I'm saying? You got to have that attitude. It's funny because we don't like Steve Nelson now, but Steve Nelson, the most confident guy I've ever met in my life. Like, no matter what happened, Steve was like, "Yeah, I had it." And I'd be like, "No, you didn't." But he'd be like, "Dude, I had it. Like, I had him." You know what I'm saying? You gotta have that kind of attitude, bro. Like, be cocky out there on the field. Do what you do. You know what I'm saying? And make you better.
Definitely. I loved it. I'm a competitive prick myself, I guess you could say. Growing up with sports, I was always super competitive. So I love seeing that energy that they're bringing to the field. And, I mean, they're making valid points like he was holding. I love seeing the aggression when he's calling him out like that. I mean, that's only going to make all of them better. Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are one of the deadliest duos in the league. So you got to challenge that. And that's only going to make Fenton better. And he needs to understand that, like, those are calls that aren't going to slide when it comes to game time. So I love seeing it. It shows that the intensity's there. They're serious. They're ready to play. And they're ready to play hard. And they're ready to win. I loved it.
Yeah, and Rashad was definitely holding. If you go back and watch the clip, Hall of Fame player like Kelce, he's going to get that call every single time. Doesn't matter. He's going to get it from the ref. But the thing I'll say about Fenton is he's kind of like become like a pest on the Chiefs. Like, because you've seen him in like some of these past games. He's like gets in the, he's a 6th-round pick, so he plays with that chip on his shoulder. He gets in guys' faces. He's trying to fluster these big-time receivers. He's that guy you hate playing against, but when it comes down to it on Sunday, he's the guy you want on your team. Because I'll throw like a basketball reference out there. He kind of reminds me of Pat Bev a little bit. I think we all remember that sequence against the Cowboys last year. He got a couple of flags thrown on him in a row there. He was he was all fired up on that. But that's the kind of thing, he can get inside someone's head if he's going to. Yeah, he was doing all that. He's about to get. I thought he was going to get fined for that, but I don't know whatever happened. But they got him, and yeah. But he's just one of those guys. He's going to get after you. He's going to be like a pest in the paint, And really, that's the kind of guy you need on a team. But when you're a 6th-round pick like he is, you're going to play with that chip on your shoulder no matter what, whether it's, Drew Lock or Patrick Mahomes in practice, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, like, man, I enjoyed all of it, man. So we look forward to see if there's any more chippiness coming out of the entire ordeal. But, camp is winding down. There's only like a few days left. And
2 days left, right? I think it's only 2 days left.
Yep.
I'm going tomorrow.
I was going to go today, but it rained, so definitely going tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you if you headed out there today. So.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow.
But yeah, let's go. But Caleb, I want to ask you this, man. Just want to rewind back to the preseason game against the Bears for a little bit, because I know you put up a few clips on your Twitter page, reviewing film and stuff, man. Like, what stood out to you the most from your perspective, just from watching the game on Saturday?
I think just from watching the game, I saw a lot of team speed on defense, and the Bears are going to be a bad team this year. They're not really that great across the board. But really, when you look out there at the defense in the first, 2 or 3 plays of the game for the starting defense are Justin Reed making a tackle for very minimal gain, Willie Gay coming out of nowhere to save a massive run because he's, he clearly has improved his play recognition around the line of scrimmage, and then Chris Jones going in and getting the sack there. You can see kind of where things are headed for this defense. They're headed in the right direction. They've obviously gotten faster across the board. They've gotten more athletic across the board. And, from an offensive perspective, everyone that you wanted to see play well probably did something positive or looked good. I don't think there's a whole lot to complain about with the first-team offense.
Yeah, but I know one thing for the Bears, though. On the defense side of the ball, they got a dog in Jaquan Brisker. Seemed like after the Chiefs, after every play, like he was there around the ball like almost every play. But unfortunately, that's another guy they're not going to pay when his rookie contract's about up. So.
Yeah, man. Ryan Poles is in that kind of weird state right now where he doesn't want to get bogged down by a bunch of contracts because he's trying to build his image on that team. But at some point you're like, well, when are you going to start losing respect to the veterans if you're not re-signing guys you need to resign and that?
Yeah, that situation with Roquan Smith, it's wild to me. Like the dude's I think he's only 24 or 25. He made 2 second team All Pro selections, and you don't choose not to pay him. Like he's on the trading block. Like I don't get it.
But I mean, if you in a rebuild stage, you want to pay a linebacker. So I wouldn't go out there. I would get what I can so I can further my rebuild stage. Like a linebacker isn't that important when you're rebuilding from scratch. Like they really started from the bottom. It's like they have nowhere to go but up.
Linebackers, they're usually the leaders of the defense. Roquan, I'm pretty sure he's the guy that it's like the green on their team. I don't know what the Bears' full situation is, but he's a young piece, and I think moving forward, that's one of those pieces you want to keep if you rebuilding. That's just my opinion.
I don't know. I kind of think defense is almost easier to rebuild. So I feel like it's easier for teams to rebuild their defense first than their offense. Offense takes all that chemistry and time to put together. Defense, if you can get guys going in the right spot, maybe they'd want to restart there. But, Country, like you were saying, I think they're probably going to want to build around Justin Fields and their offense because that's kind of the trend in the NFL is you got to build around your young quarterback.
Right. And if he's a valuable piece that can get you back, is Roquan Smith worth a 1 or a 2 or 3, something like that? So maybe a couple middle round picks. And if you draft him right, that could be good for you. But, I don't know. Thank God we're not. Because we got humiliated by losing in the preseason. That's what the Bears column said, that the Chiefs were humiliated in that game. I don't know what game they were watching, but whatever it takes to fire up your team, man, you got to take it there, bro.
Yeah. So on the next subject, man, I know we seen that Jody Fortson made his return to practice today. Dane Shelton made his debut at training camp. He's put in a couple of practices now. I saw one clip. He was getting triple teamed, so I guess he's garnering that attention already. But who knows when the full game starts, because I do have a few questions in regards to him, because like I said before, I think he's a guy you only play like a certain amount of snaps and you'll be straight on the defensive line. So, Caleb, I want to ask you this, man. What are some, now that we have officially cut 5 guys on our team, we've moved down the cuts a little bit, what are some position battles you're looking forward to moving forward in these last 2 preseason games?
Well, I think one that kind of stood out to me with bringing in Danny Shelton is that defensive tackle room. Obviously you got Chris Jones and Noddy. Those have been your long-term starting guys. Chris Jones, he's second best in the league behind only Aaron Donald at rushing the passer from the interior. But then you look at the preseason game and Taylor Stallworth, who I think flew under the radar. Not a lot of Chiefs fans talked about him a lot, even though last season he had more sacks than Jaron Reed did last season when he was playing for Indianapolis. He's a run stuffer, but he's got some explosion back there also. Colin Saunders, he can make plays too. I mean, he's just been so hurt. He hasn't had really a chance to display what he can do. But, you saw him rip that play, and you kind of see that speed he has from being such a big guy. That's rare. And then you're bringing in Danny Shelton into that mix also. Plus you already got Turk in there. He's kind of your hybrid rush factor. He can play defensive end on rundowns. He can do a little bit of everything like that. Danny Shelton's going to be fighting to make the roster because, you see that clip of him getting triple teamed. How many times again does he have the conditioning or endurance to be able to sit out there and do that? He's not a guy you're going to be able to run out there 3 downs in a row. You'll be lucky to get him on the field, maybe 4 reps if there's a 10-play drive. So that competition is definitely going to be heating up. It'll be something to watch for.
Yeah.
Stallworth, man, it was like somebody gave him a memo hey, you need to do something to stay on this roster. And he took that and he was fired up. He was my MVP of the first game. You know what I'm saying? So let's see if we can build on that in game 2. And Saunders, like you said, Saunders, man, if he can stay injury free, I think he should be a lot. But he's been hurt a couple times. But let's see if he can build on that because he had some flashes. Stallworth definitely had some flashes, and Shelton coming in. If he can eat up 2 to 3 blockers, and then you got Chris Jones on the other side, that you know what I'm saying? Somebody's gonna eat. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's Frank or Dunlap or George or whoever, somebody's gonna be able to come from that end and get to the quarterback if he's taking up that amount of space. And he is huge. This is good. Man, we seen some big dudes over the top balls. Passing and what's the kid, 93? He's huge. What's the little kid they had from Africa or whatever, the Nigerian kid?
You talking about Kamara?
He's
he was on Hard Knocks last year with the Cowboys.
He's something like a different type of big, wood. Wow. Tree chunk.
So we done lost him for a little bit. But yeah, he mentioned how big those guys are, man. Shelton, he look like a boulder, man.
Just massive.
Yeah.
So what you got, Kylie?
So no, I totally agree. I think that interior defensive lineman position is going to be really fun to watch. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable with our defensive line after watching last game. You mentioned those guys that are rotating in and kind of who are fighting it out, but then the edge. I just, like you said, the athleticism, the speed, how quick they were off of the jump. And then it makes me feel a little more comfortable because I do have some questions about our secondary. But if we can really hone in on that defensive line, then that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about the secondary, about that cornerback position. Because that's another position that I'm kind of like, where are we going to go with this? I know Fenton's back now. He's got a spot, but there is definitely some guys out there that I'm anxious to see. And the defense as a whole is under the magnifying glass right now. So I don't think offense is the concern. It's more that defense. So I'm just excited to see what else they bring next against the Commanders. Post it up. I love it.
Yeah. I thought the defensive ends were, they're fairly impressive. Dunlap was getting his feet about him. I think they were going to be better off just like trying to use him as their pass rush guy. But Frank looked a little faster out there. George, he looks different than he did on some of his film when he was in college. He looks like he's trimmed down maybe a little bit more, maybe a little more athletic. And then, the reserve defensive ends, I think, Josh Kandos gets a lot of hype because he's is a high draft pick, but Malik Herring came away with half a sack from the game, and he was making somewhat of an impact in there also after his first game in like 2 or 3 seasons because of his injury history. That room's going to get interesting also just with kind of the depth that they've acquired, throughout the last month or so.
Yeah. So like, speaking of Frank Clark, man, to me, I think this is the quickest and most athletic I've seen him throughout his entire career. I think you make an argument for that because, like, even in Seattle, yes, he was quick and athletic and everything. Right before he signed with us and everything, and that's not taking away the run he's had in the postseason. Dating back to us going to the Super Bowl, winning it all and everything. But to me, man, just looking at him, just looking at how he moves and stuff, cutting down some of the stuff that he was including in his life and, off the field and stuff, that's definitely helping him out tremendously. So, Frank, I mean, I'm not going to put any expectations on anything, but I do expect him to have maybe his best season or his second best season on the team this year. So, we'll see.
It's amazing when you cut out that brown liquor, what happens.
Right.
No more Hennessy. Frank looked like he drank. What do you think Frank Clark drank?
Didn't he say it was Hennessy? I thought
Was
that
it
was a
Hennessy?
real thing. I think so.
Yeah, he looked like a hen dog type of guy. So
He looks like he did.
Maybe
he looked like a Henny straight,
he might be. I don't know. I think he's probably mixed it up with gin at least one night a week kind of guy.
Ooh, no, that's death.
That's dangerous.
No.
I think that's why Frank will be honest.
Frank might drink Douce. He might be a Douce guy. Douce.
Cavassier.
Well, he's from California, isn't he?
Yeah.
He might do gin then.
Maybe some gin or tequila, man. Who knows?
Oh,
Maybe he's a wine guy. Did you ever think all the vineyards out there? He's just over there smelling wines.
Nah.
No, you're right. He's not. But what if he was?
Harrison Bucker is a wine guy.
For sure.
Oh, he's a Christian. He ain't gonna drink nothing. Frank looks fast, man. Frank looks like he's reinvigorated. Like he also, quote the great Suarez Taylor, the contract he is undefeated. So he looked like he's trying to get that money back. He looked like he want to be here. He looked like he's focused and reinvigorated, man. And he looks fast, like very, very fast.
Yeah, the Chiefs have linebackers on the roster right now who weigh more than he does, which is funny. He's built like he looks like an outside linebacker, if not a middle linebacker, just like body comp wise. But I don't know. He looked like he was getting off the ball fast and he was getting to the quarterback a little quicker.
Yeah, but I was saying, like, I don't think – I was telling people, like, people were seeing, like, some clips surfacing of him on Instagram through a story, talking about how slim he got and everything. He said, you guys think Frank might be too skinny? I'm like, man, I think it's just a certain angle that you're looking at. I don't think the weight loss is anything you guys got to be concerned about. I still think the strength's still going to be there, but, yeah, he was working on just trying to get back to being a player that the player that he's capable of. You know what I mean? The guy that we paid a bunch of money to. Like, we all agreed that, you know, according to the contract stuff, he hasn't lived up to it numbers-wise. But, you know, he still made an impact to where he got some Lombardi in the end. But now, now it looks like he's ready to turn it up. For real.
And he's doing something. He's doing two things that I love. Orlando Brown's biggest problem last year were like speed guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going against Orlando Brown like every single day, it looks like. So, in turn, he's making him a better left tackle by going on him one-on-ones every day. Like, he's putting speed out there because he's a quick guy, like we've been saying. So, he's going to help him do that. And then the after-practice lessons with George and those guys. And like we said, PSA, if you're a defensive lineman and you need some help, you need to be staying after practice and talking to Frank and Carlos and getting in Danny Shelton's ear, these vets. Get in their ear, learn the game, bro. Kane, though, I'm looking at you. I'm rooting for you, bro. I'm looking at you, though.
It looks like Wharton's – I don't know. I've seen some of the one-on-one clips, and, you know, one-on-one pass pro is what it is in practice. But you see some of the moves Wharton looks like he's been working on trying to develop his pass rush arsenal. You know, I've been talking with people, you know, I think this could be a year maybe where we see him bust out, like maybe have like a 5 or 6 sack season, you know, come and contribute because, you know, he hasn't made a ton of money throughout any point in his career just being an undrafted guy. He's a guy who, you know, if he comes out and gets 5 or 6 sacks, you know, a team will be like, you know, we'll throw you $10 million to come play for us for a season.
That's right, Caleb. The other Caleb.
Yeah, a lot of cuss words in that one, bro. Calm down, Caleb. Who do you think you are, Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I think he's quoting Patrick, but yeah. But speaking of George Karlaftis, man, I want to talk about him because okay, he's grown on me ever since the preseason game. I ain't gonna lie, like I liked our draft class this year, but I did have questions about George. I ain't gonna lie. Yes, the motor was there, but like, you know, I think about him. I think him bending corners shouldn't be a thing anymore. Looks like he's learned how to do that from what I saw on Saturday. And he looked like a sponge, man, because, you know, like when they first got back to practice this week, you know, he was working on, you know, different hand moves and everything, you know, different swim moves and whatnot. So, like, I mean, what are you guys' expectations of George this year? Like, how much of an impact is he really going to bring as a rookie? Realistically, though. Yeah, none of that J.J. Watt, Nick Bosa type stuff.
Yeah, Kylie.
I never said. Don't even put me in the no. First
Kylie,
of all,
he's gonna get 12 sacks.
Never said that. Pull it up. I want to see it. But
I'm joking.
I know. I'm giving you a hard time. But I will say that I have been pretty high on the George Karlaftis since we drafted him, mainly because his energy and his hunger. He is so hungry to prove himself. He thought he should have been drafted higher, and he said that coming out the gate. And I think he is out there with the extra practices, hanging out late, all that. He's, like you said, he's a sponge. He's absorbing everything, and he's really out here to prove something. Initially, I had tweeted out that I think he will have 7 sacks, country. And I stand by that. I really do think he'll have 7 sacks. I saw the other day someone was comparing him to Derek Thomas, thinking that he'll have 10 sacks in his rookie season. I don't know about all that, but I like the positivity. I think he's going to do awesome. I couldn't be more hyped on Karlaftis.
If he gets 10 sacks, Brett V should be GM of the year.
Of the decade.
He already is in my book.
Of the decade. Oh, if he gets 10 sacks, no more Breland Speaks talk ever. It's dead. It's 6 feet. It's buried. It's not coming back. It's not Freddie Cooler. It's not Jason. If he gets 10 sacks, I don't want to hear Breland Speaks' name ever again.
Oh, boy.
Breland Speaks.
Oh, man. Breland Speak, man. So, honestly, when they drafted Karlaftis, you know, you hear like that he had the short arms deal. He said his arms aren't very long. And I was like immediately thinking, oh, this seems like Breland Speaks all over again, like some short, thick guy with no explosion on the edge who's got short arms. But then you kind of see, which I don't know, the Big Ten, obviously he's going to want to be bigger because all they do is run the ball. He's playing Iowa and Wisconsin up there, Ohio State. He's got to get big to stop the run and take on double team blocks, set the edge and all that. But then you kind of see him out there. And the first thing I noticed in the game was his entire time at Purdue, all he did was just bull rush and power rush people because really he has a strong enough base to be able to do that. But what's he start doing out there in this game against the Bears? He's using his hands. He's working different techniques. He works a swat. He's working a rip move. He had a swim move that he got his sack on. He's clearly developing an arsenal of pass rush moves. And, the Bears offensive line isn't the greatest in the world, but he is, somewhat they're competing. Now, I don't think he's going to break Derek Thomas's rookie sack record. I think that's a little outlandish. That may be for some clicks or something. But I do think like the 5 to 7 sack range is probably fair for him because, the Chiefs are going to play some teams later on down the line, have some bad offensive lines. But even just with his motor, when there's like a good coverage down the field, if he's playing hard, he's going to be able to get free and get a sack, chase down a guy where he probably maybe shouldn't have one here or there. So I'll go like 6 or 7 sacks, probably around that range.
Yeah.
Is he going to get enough snaps to get to that, though?
I think he's going to work his way into it. I mean, people keep saying, Frank's, I don't think anyone on the defensive line except for Chris Jones has a set number of snaps right now because they were bad last season. They didn't do their job. They ran out of gas late. It was a place where they got to have intensity. They bring in Joe Cullen, who's an intense ass dude. And now they're going out here competing. So I don't know, man, maybe they get a lot from Dunlap early, but then, his age starts to become a factor, or maybe Frank starts with all the weight he's lost, starts to get worn down here or there. I think he's going to get his snaps, regardless of the situation that they end up in. But also, I think Spags likes him enough to where he's going to play him early and often.
Yeah, so like I got the perfect nickname for Carlos Dunlap and George Karlaftis. I thought about this overnight. I'm calling them 8-Ball and GK3. That's what I'm calling them. 8-Ball and GK3. If they make a huge impact together on the field at the same time, that's what I'm calling them. So
yeah. You heard it here first.
I hate that I like that. Oh God. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's hard, ain't it? It's hard.
You wanted to hate. You wanted to hate so bad.
Yeah, it's coming out hard. Yeah, I like that one. I hate that I like that one.
He was ready to pounce as soon as you were like, I was
ready to because Zach Eisen, friend of the show, he suggested for Pacheco Pacheeks, and I was like, bro, that is horrible. No.
I'm good on that one.
Country, it's Pacheco.
What I say?
But we're gonna get it. You got a whole season.
Hey, Pacheco, Pacino, same thing. Hey, cousin.
This is why I call him the Charles Barkley of this show.
Charles Barkley get a lot of money.
Yeah, but he has a hard time pronouncing names himself. So Pacheco, right? Correct.
Pacheco. So we're calling him Pac now. We're just gonna call him Pac.
That works, yeah.
Yeah, I guess you. Yeah, I think you need to call him Pop moving forward because you're struggling.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but I want to talk about the DB room, man, because I think I got an idea of what this is going to look like for the corners. So how I see it is that I think by the time the season starts, I can see McDuffie and Josh Williams on the outside. Then I can see Fenton and Snead being the slot corners. Like, do you guys agree with that assessment, or do you think it's just going to depend on like the matchup throughout the course of the year?
I kind of think it's going to be like typical Spags defense. Going to probably keep it vanilla early on. Then later in the season, he'll start making his adjustments for who we're playing. He's Justin Reed and Brian Cook are going to bring a lot of versatility to the room, kind of with their skill set. But yeah, I mean, they didn't trade up all those picks for McDuffie to like have him rotate in half the time. He's going to play every rep of outside corner, as much as he possibly can. They're going to have a hard time keeping Josh Williams off the field, though. I just think with his size and skill set, they haven't found anybody to beat Mike Williams in like 3 years. Mike Williams has just been beating our ass. So they finally have a guy big enough who can step up and just play him when he needs to and just out physical him, because it's not fair when he's just, reaching over Rashad Fenton's head or stuff like that, So they got a guy who can actually go out there and physically match up now.
Yeah, he was dunking on us, man. Mike Williams has been a nemesis of ours repeatedly. So he showed that in that Bears game he does have the ability to get physical. So Kylie, what do you think?
No, I agree with Caleb a lot, honestly. And I am just really excited to see McDuffie in action. I didn't see anything on Saturday against the Bears. I've seen some stuff in practice, but like you said, they didn't trade up to get him for nothing. So I'm excited to see him in a game, get physical and see what he can do. It's going to be really exciting. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Hey, country, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, country.
It's one of those bad days, man. One of those bad. It's raining. AT&T sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's all right.
It's all good, brother. So yeah, I was about to say, like, before I get to you for a sec, country, I was about to say, like, from the limited all-22 that I did see, it looked like McDuffie did a good job of playing in phase, even though he wasn't getting targeted for real. So just because as a cornerback, you're not gonna get targeted every game. There's some games where it may be boring out there. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna get much action, but you gotta still find a way to stay engaged, because you just never know what can happen. So
I'm hoping Washington gives us more. I don't want to say competition, but they give us more opportunities, because the Bears starting rotation. I mean, we pretty much shut them down. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't really. They had to pass to Mooney. Is it Mooney or Moody? Mooney, which was like kind of a.
It was Mooney.
It was kind of a luck thing where it was a great catch. And then the other one where Josh Williams looked like he shut it down, but he threw it where only the wide receiver could do it. But outside of those two instances, like, the rest of it was just nothing. Like, they weren't moving the ball with any regularity or anything like that. So I just want to get more of a better offense. I think Washington might have a better offense. They definitely have better receivers. They definitely have a Scary Terry out there. Is he playing though?
Yeah. That's
any word on Terry this week?
Right. That's something we got to keep an eye on. But even though the Bears were kind of struggling on offense, I felt like, I'm not saying they would have scored on a drive, but there was a few plays that Fields did leave out there where he kind of played a little too fast. Like, there was I know one instance, there was a little out route that was set up perfectly for Mooney on a third down. He could have hit him, but he would have to shake and bake L'Jarius Sneed one-on-one to try to get that first down marker. I don't know if he would have got it, but there was other instances where he went through his progressions, but he bailed out the pocket a little earlier. But that's not taken away from the Chiefs' defense or anything. But it's just some things I thought from the Bears' perspective too.
I just want a little bit more talented offense.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, man. I mean, Washington feels like one of those teams like they got pieces here and there, pretty solid defense, but their quarterback situation is just such a mess. It's like, where are these guys going to end up competing at? It feels like they feel like, classic one of those teams like people have been talking about the Broncos. They're like, oh, they got pieces here and there, but it was the Drew Lock show the last few seasons or whatever. So it just doesn't pan out. That's how I feel about Washington, honestly.
Speaking of Denver, sidetrack. Sorry.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
Speaking of Denver, Russell Wilson, you get a bad rap for being a corny guy, which is cool. He's a corny guy, whatever. I don't hold that against him. I'm a corny guy myself. You know what I'm saying? But crying during the national anthem
Why?
He's not the first one. So,
and then it was No Sean Moreno on the Broncos. Like, why does the national anthem hit y'all so hard? Like, what emotional place do you go to where you gotta cry during the national anthem?
Hey man, stuff be happening, bro.
I heard some good renditions of the national anthem. I was there I wasn't there, but I was alive for Whitney Houston and all these other the military guy that the Chiefs bring in like 3 times a year, who was awesome and kills it every time.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to shed a tear. I'm sorry. Am I not patriotic enough? I just don't get crying. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Russell's one of a kind, man.
Let's ride.
He strikes me as the kind of person who cries a couple times a week, and that's okay.
It's like people that cry at animated cartoons. It's like, why? Why are you crying?
So
why are you crying because Bambi's mom got shot? It happened.
No, I think he's a family guy. I don't know. He's a little sensitive. He's got kids at home. You're not crying?
No.
I don't know why I'm trying to have his back, but yeah.
Go ahead, Charles.
I was about to say, so he's Mr. Unlimited Tears. I know y'all remember the Mr. Unlimited clip he posted. Mr. Unlimited. You know?
Oh, very much. Very much.
He did pull Sierra though, so I mean,
yeah,
women like a man who can shed some tears. Maybe that's what that is.
I know, but
I mean, I don't want my man crying, but
if you go to the game and your man starts crying during the national anthem, you're gonna look at him and say, "You definitely drunk too much today." I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Washington. Man. Who's Washington quarterback? Carson Wentz?
Wentz, yeah.
Good old Carson. Yep.
Caleb had the same thought.
Has anybody fallen off more than Carson Wentz?
No. It's just the no one can save him. I can't believe last year Indy thought they were going to be the team to save him. Philly got rid of Doug Peterson for no reason. They're going to feel dumb about that here soon because Doug Peterson's a good coach, all because they wanted to stick with Carson Wentz an extra year. I mean, he's terrible through his progressions, and people keep sticking up for him saying he's not that bad. He threw them out of the playoffs last year. That's why I don't understand. I mean, Washington's dysfunctional, so it makes total sense why they go after him. Makes total sense why they go after him. But I'm just like, he's going to be backing up Josh Allen here soon. He's going to be backing up somebody here soon. You know, his days as a starter, they can't be much longer.
Yeah, the stats look good on paper from last year, but in the fourth quarter, that's when he folded. Like in the fourth quarter, he couldn't close the deal. Like when teams were stacking up on Jonathan Taylor, trying to shut him down and stuff, and he had to make some throws down the stretch, and he couldn't make them. So
he went from an MVP candidate, and then he got hurt, and it's just been terrible from then on out. Like he's never even got close back to that level. He's just bad now. It's like, what other quarterback is falling from the man? I would Cam Newton, maybe.
Yeah, but
Cam went to the Super Bowl, and then after the Super Bowl, it was never the same.
Yeah, I mean,
what's that Drake album? Nothing was the same.
Yeah, because like he had to get shoulder surgery, and then he couldn't get back to form, and I believe this is what I think with Cam. Like he was looking better during his second stint in New England. Like it was gonna be his second stint in New England, and he was grasping the playbook a little more from what I saw in camp. But they wanted to go on with Mac Jones for the beginning. So
I mean, once you feel like you got your franchise quarterback, just go. You just got to go with him. Yeah. Or stab your starting quarterback in the lung, and then you go.
Yeah,
I'm taking shots at everybody today.
Look out! I know.
The worst thing that ever happened to Tyrod Taylor was the best thing that ever happened to the Chargers.
That's crazy, ain't it?
It's
Right.
wild.
I didn't even know who Justin Herbert was. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't up on Justin Herbert, but
That's because
he
you
had a
don't watch
great
college
game
ball.
that day. He had a hell of a game that day. He played like a rookie.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought Herbert's film at Oregon, I was like, man, I don't know what they see in this guy. And then he gets to the NFL, and it's like, oh, he was completely mismanaged at Oregon. They're trying to make him an RPO run quarterback. And he's like, I just need to sit back here and throw the ball 30 times a game and get into a rhythm. He's a rhythm guy, though, which maybe it's because he's young. Like you see it when he plays against the Chiefs, he's on. But then, there's some of the games they struggle in is when he usually gets out of that rhythm and he can't really find a way to get into it.
Nice segue, because let's talk about what his coach said. I'm going to continue to go for it on fourth downs, guys. So get used to it. Is that a dumb decision? Do you agree? Is it?
What's the situation? Play situational football. I mean,
right.
I don't know. Every situation's different. Like, you can't just go for it every time on fourth down just because the numbers say to. You got to take into account, there's a lot of other things going on here. So, I mean, situational football-wise, he made some really dumb decisions late last season, Staley did, to keep them out of the playoffs. And
it cost them the playoffs.
And everyone, look, in the analytic community, those kinds of people that follow that stuff closely, they'll be like, oh, it was the right decision, but it was just a bad play call. I was like, no, it was a bad decision because it didn't work. I'm like, you can't say the right decision was made, but you didn't execute. That means the wrong decision was made because you couldn't call the right play to connect. So you can't have it both ways. It can't be a good decision and a bad decision at the same time. And it's a bad decision if it doesn't work and it costs your team points.
I've said this, sports is going backwards a bit as far as the analytical era and stuff. Analytics, yes, analytics is definitely needed in sports. Don't get me wrong, but don't make it the end all be all when it comes to situational football. And that's the issue I've been having with all sports in general lately. So
he cost them 2 divisional games. Our game and then the Raiders game at the end. If he wins either one of they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, and then they lost to the Texans, man. You can't lose.
Well, you can't lose to the Texans at all. No, I don't care what down you go for it on. You can't lose to the Texans. You're not supposed to.
That's another great analogy, Hefe. The Texas A&M. Yeah, Texas A&M, they get a lot of hype every year. They got all this. They got all them oil. They got them oil companies behind them and everything, as far as their football program, and they don't do anything with it.
So Caleb, were you shocked by Lonnie Johnson got cut and also got picked up by the Titans? Congratulations to him. Best of luck to him. Were you shocked by that cut?
I wasn't really, because he came in real late in camp, and if guys are coming in late in camp, it's either you've been a veteran who's been up and down in your career, or you're like a guy like Carlos Dunlap who is just not trying to mess around with the OTAs and all that. You're just trying to sign and get ready to get into the season. Lonnie kind of falls into the latter category because he's had some struggles this time in Houston. I'm not going to say I was shocked because the Chiefs, drafted all these young cornerbacks. They were going to want to give him a chance to play. And I think he was only around as some insurance, let's say Williams struggles out of the gate. Let's say some of these guys don't look as good out of the gate, or maybe Dave Tobe needs some help on special teams. But I think they might have that covered now. But he's not really the caliber of player where it's a seismic cut or anything. He's just kind of got that name recognition,
Yeah. I was more shocked by the timing of it. I thought he would at least make it to the final cut. So to make the initial cut, it's dang, it was more disappointing than shocking or anything like that. I kind of had hopes that he would kind of bounce back to where he was his rookie year. But, I mean, he was 4th on the depth chart. So it is what it is. He went to Tennessee. he should have an opportunity in Tennessee to do some things. So I mean, we ain't gonna root against the guy, but it was just a little bit more disappointing than anything.
Yeah. Jalen, maybe that says a lot about Jalen Watson, though, that they wanted to get him reps over Lonnie. And he made a couple of, he missed a tackle, but he made some nice plays on the ball and pass coverage. So they probably just wanted to get him more snaps, honestly. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, man. It was just tough to find a spot for him. Like you mentioned, Jalen Watson played well enough to a point where it's kind of tough to get him in the mix. I know the top 4 positions of defensive back are solidified, and it looks like Jalen Watson is in the driver's seat to be the 5th quarter. But, there's still a battle going on, so you never know. Things might change, but I feel like that's where the Chiefs are at right now.
There's still a lot of cuts to be made, too. So,
yeah,
it might be a vet that gets cut. Would you give Joe Hayden a call?
Nah.
Probably not. I wouldn't.
Okay. That ship sailed.
Yeah.
I feel like Joe is past his prime. He's past his prime now. I like the young group that we have currently, so you may have to do a little better than Joe Hayden to kind of convince me. So I think we're good.
Anybody you'd be interested in that's on I would say on the bubble? There's a lot of injuries going on. Would you Cleveland lost what, 2 centers?
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
Tampa Bay lost 2 centers. Would you move Austin Ryder if you for 6th or 7th or something like that?
Well, I don't think it'd be Austin Ryder. The Chiefs, I think if there's a guy the Chiefs could maybe afford to trade and get away with, it could be Nick Allegretti because he's got that versatility to play guard and center. And honestly, he'd be a starting guard for most other teams. He's just buried behind Trey and Joe here. He started big games for the Chiefs down the line the last couple consecutive seasons before this point. So I think he could maybe be a guy that could net them like maybe a 5th or 6th round pick. I just don't know if they're going to want to move on from him because I feel like Brett's really trying to emphasize, we're always going to have a stable of offensive linemen ready to go no matter what. So in the case that a guy does get hurt, they never have a repeat of what happened in that Super Bowl against Tampa Bay where Pat's just running for his life and everything.
I think I think depth is a concern for me on that offensive line because to me, like they did okay pass protecting, but you can't run behind that offensive line. Like when they tried to run block, it didn't look pretty at all. Like no gaps were open. No runbacks can get to the outside. It just didn't look good when they was trying to run block.
Yeah, that's second offensive line was the second and third offensive line didn't look very good. Darian Kennard slipping to the third string tackle, and then having ups and downs with the third string out here. That's not I don't think that's really what we anticipated. Even though he is a 5th round draft pick, I think a lot of people had higher expectations for him than that. I'll be curious to see if they mix him in at guard later down the line. But yeah, but like it is with Andy Reid, though, they may not have the most depth, at like all these spots, but they're going to get these guys in the second offensive line who are obviously if anything, they're going to be better at pass blocking. Just they want guys that can hold their own in that regard. Because even if they put like a guy like Allegretti in there and he's got to be, if he's between, Orlando and Creed, they're going to be able to run. They're at least going to be able to help him out run blocking. And he's going to be able to hold his own pass blocking. So it's give or take. You can't have every position loaded, and then I just don't think a lot of those second linemen have the chemistry since they've only played a handful of games next to one another. Not games, like one game, a handful of snaps in practice.
So that kind of to piggyback off that, do you think RoJo was it a combination of? I'm trying to give an excuse for the guy. I'm not ready to cut him yet. So was it a combination of the field conditions, the blocking of the whole line, or was it just did he just have a terrible game? I'm confused that he looked that bad.
Okay. All three can be true though, man, because there's a couple of times where he got bottled up where there's nothing going, but then you get like that third and short situation and they get him like enough room to where you think he'll be able to get ahead for the first down. He doesn't quite get there. I think he might have missed a hole in that toss they ran to him. But then, obviously the field is bad, so maybe he just wasn't comfortable with his footing. But really the big thing with him, I think, they had that slide protection on where he's got to kind of come off the end and pick up the defensive end. He completely blows the assignment and the quarterback gets smoked like, luckily that's Shane Buechele. But, no, that's not giving Andy Reid and Bieniemy any confidence to put you out there if you mess up a play because of a mental error and then the quarterback gets smoked. You know what I mean? So I think it's a combination of all three, but really I was disappointed in the way Gore played. McKinnon didn't really get much run, but I think right now the running back room kind of looks like it's going to be Clyde, Pacheco, and McKinnon because Gore might have, dropping passes, fumbling. That's just not what he can do because he's already going to be on a shorter leash, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't think it's too good for RoJo, man.
I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good about it at all. I mean, because when we signed him, it was like, okay, we got a runner. He's probably going to have to force Andy to run the ball, but it was just such a bad game that it just, I don't know. It was just a very, very bad game.
Yeah, and like and you mentioned Derek Gore. Derek Gore, it looked like he lost his confidence a bit, man. Because I heard in camp today he was kind of struggling in camp. Like I saw that I guess he dropped the pass in the flat where he could have got some yardage, and it's like it's starting to be like a negative effect moving forward, and it's tough because he played well for us last year.
Yeah,
it was that confidence builder, and we can say the same thing for Roderick Johnson. Like Roderick had that bad day at camp, and then it just ever since then it's just been down. It's like it's pressure, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like the pressure, because we don't have a bad team, so the guy behind you is pressure on you. You know what I'm saying? Like he can't jump you and take your spot. So I don't know, man. I was just bewildered that he had such a bad game. It was, I didn't expect that at all. Like it was just like, yo, what is going on?
Well, I mean, he got benched in Tampa last year, mostly for fumbling. Who knows? Maybe that messed up his mental side of his game where he's running more cautious now to be able to hold on to the ball because we all know that's something that Andy talked about. I saw the comments down there, though. We hadn't even mentioned, the receivers or anything like that yet, though. But they said Sky was open downfield. Sky looked good, man. That toe tap he had was nice because I didn't think he hauled it in. And then they show the replay. I'm like, damn. I'm like, that's a lot from a rookie right there, man.
Yeah,
definitely.
And that's why some people trying to compare him to AB just because of that toe tap. I said, let's calm down a little bit, people. I love Sky's potential. I love his ceiling and everything, but let's calm down the AB comparisons. So, I saw a little bit of his pressure today, and he said he's still learning, the pro style routes. Like he's still adjusting to it and everything. But for what I've seen, man, the kid just looks great. So. He can only go up from here as far as like his potential. If he's saying all that currently,
I also thought about what you were saying. You think Shane he zeroed in on Justin Watson?
Yeah,
like the entire. How many targets did Justin Watson get? 9, maybe.
He had a bunch.
Yeah, because he caught 7 passes, right?
Yeah, I mean he led the team in receptions for the game. I don't know. That kind of I don't know. That's just like a quarterback that's just okay being comfortable with one guy because he just like remembers the route best, and he just kind of has that hookup from camp that he's been throwing to him a lot. Dude, I looked up some of Justin Watson's athletic numbers. That dude's an athletic freak. He just jumps like he's a 40-inch vertical, and he put it on display twice because he got overthrown a little bit on that one pass out to the sideline, and then the touchdown he caught. I'm like, this is a pretty, I don't know. I guess it's diverse, the skill set the Chiefs have at wide receiver right now, and he just makes it a little bit more interesting with kind of that big vertical.
Are you locking him in at 5?
Yeah, and special teams ability obviously going to help him out there. But you've heard Mahomes talking about him. He's at least going to make the practice squad, so you at least know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Who's your sixth guy right now?
I go Fountain. I mean, he put it on the tape, which is weird because if Josh Gordon keeps his feet in bounds, him and Fountain are in a competition, but Fountain makes the catches on the slants, just made them look easy, did the right thing, held on to the ball, got first downs. Josh Gordon, that game of inches, man, he just was on the short end of the stick.
Yeah. I said the same thing about Cornell Powell. If Cornell catches that slant, he turns a bad day into a great day.
Yeah.
It would have been a great day for him.
That was an ugly drive.
Huh?
That was an ugly drive by Powell.
It was bad. I know he wants that one back. He has to want that one.
No. I bet Andy's going to give those guys more chances, though, in the second game. So we'll see, because he knows that offensive line's so bad. I almost feel bad for the second running backs. Honestly, he's probably going to – I bet you he gives RoJo some run with the one offensive line just to kind of see what he can do, to give them a glimpse to see if there's actually anything there or if it's a lost cause at this point.
Yeah, I don't want to give up on RoJo just yet. What I was going to ask? I
want to make this point real quick before you get to your question, Country, because I want to touch on Sky a little bit more. Like, I know Kylie mentioned that she said that she would like Sky to run with the ones a little more in his next game, and I want to see Sky with Patrick myself, and because I think Patrick will look for him more than what Shane would look at him, and we get to see more of what Sky can do in this offense. I mean,
you got 17 games for that.
Now listen, but we gotta see it at least one time before game number 3. We gotta at least see that. We gotta at least see it once.
Yeah. I think. This is what I was gonna ask. Did they pull Chad Henne too fast?
No,
I don't know.
Because how many plays did he do? 8, maybe.
It's out there like 2 drives, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he should have played the whole first quarter or the rest of the first quarter. This is the second game, so starters are going to play quarter and a half, maybe.
Yeah. I don't see – look, if they go down the field like that again, they're just going to take Pat and Travis off. They'll probably let the O-line get their conditioning in. Maybe let Juju and MVS just keep getting their feet together. But other than that, if they go down and score easy again, they're going to be sitting on the sideline.
And like Henne been in the league for how long? So I don't think he need to play much.
Yeah. I mean, but he's a better quarterback to gauge your guys in. Like, I think Gordon might have had a better game if they were playing with Henne versus Danny Crumb or whatever.
Dusty.
The crumb cake. You know what I'm saying? So,
the crumb cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I did like Crumb too, because he came in like, I'm the fourth string guy. I don't care. I'm just gonna toss it up. I don't care. I'm just gonna try to make Sports Center tonight. So man, I like that in him.
I know Shane Michelle gets a lot of hype because he can make some throws out of the pocket, but the dude's a turnover machine. I think he's had a turnover just about every preseason game he's played in the last 2 seasons. So I know there's maybe some hype that people are like, oh, could he be the new backup quarterback? But I'm like, it's going to be Chad Henne, just because Chad Henne's never going to be like, well, I'm going to make like a really bad pass. He had some bad passes against Cleveland at one point in that playoff game here a couple of years ago. But, I think the thing with Andy is if they have to go an extended period of time with a quarterback, he's just going to go with the guy who's just going to check it down and kind of do like some Alex Smith type things, and that's going to be what Henne does.
Yeah. That interception that Shane threw was that was terrible.
Yeah,
I don't know what he saw on that play.
And he should have had 2 interceptions because Brisker dropped one when Shane tried to throw it across the field. I said, no.
You're not that guy. You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy. You're not that guy.
Yo, hey man, so Caleb, man, you've been rocking with us for a while, man, and you put out good work. I don't know why you say you're a retired film guy. I don't it makes sense. No sense to why you say
Oh
No,
yeah.
a washed film guy.
that. A watch film,
That's what he said.
a watch film guy, right?
Yeah. Washed is I don't know. I put the washed in there like more like I'm just washed up in general, not a washed up film guy.
You're pretty good, man. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, I seen you used to play football at Truman State.
Yeah.
Saw that.
Back
You play where?
at Truman State in Kirksville, Missouri,
Okay.
northeast part of the state. Yep, that's where I went to school. I was up there. So I'm washed up from that for sure by now.
What position you play?
I was offensive line.
Offensive line?
Yep.
How much did you weigh?
Back then I was probably like 285, 280, something like that.
Damn.
Yeah, that boy's down in the trenches.
Yeah, he was in there.
No, he got some wars down there.
Yeah, we played against Tershawn Wharton.
Oh, really?
They were in our conference, yeah.
Did you have to block him?
No, I didn't have to block him. I was like our Andrew Wiley. It's like halftime I'm gonna play. Like they just can't get rid of me somehow. That's how
Whatever, man. You showed up to all the parties though.
always. Always. I mean, that's what Wiley does. It's like, damn.
Man, he shows up to every party. Nah, but for real, man. Hey, man, we're glad to have you on as a guest, man. And we know we've been vibing back and forth. We've been trying to get this done for a while. So, hey, man, we appreciate you, man. Tell them your Twitter and all that, where we can find your work and how to follow you and everything.
Yeah, man. Just go check me out at CJ Scoobs on Twitter. And I usually put most of my work out there, you know, from the articles I write for Arrowhead Live. I post those on there. And then I've been working on starting my own YouTube page where I've just been doing like film reviews and stuff. It's called Arrowhead Live Team Talk. So go check that out. Like and subscribe to it because I've been working on, you know, some video editing stuff, trying to move more towards that direction. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on, fellas.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's dope. I'm keep us posted on that for real. I like that.
Yeah.
So Chuck, man, check us out, bro.
Yes.
Choking on the pickle juice.
So yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share on our social media platforms. And until next episode, let's go Chiefs. And let's at least get one dub this preseason. I mean, one dub would be cool. So,
yeah, because we got humiliated last
game. Yeah, humiliated. All right, y'all.